Hello, my name's Drew Schuldwachter. I'm with ConnectPay Payroll Services, a payroll service company that focuses on small business. And we're returning today to talk about retirement services as part of our 6 pillars of payroll processing. Today I have Tom Roach, who's one of hundreds of advisors that work with our clients.
Morning, everybody. Morning, Drew.
Good morning. So Tom, how did you get into this business?
Oh gosh, that's kind of a funny story, actually. So for all the folks out there, my last name's Roach, and I was selling life insurance at the age of 25 years old, and I called on an extermination company. The extermination company said, we have tons of life insurance, but can you help us out with our 401k and our pension plan? So as any would-be new salesperson would do, I studied up hard over the weekend, learned as much as I could on retirement plans, went out there and met with the client and fell flat on my face, but ended up getting the client eventually and helped them out with the retirement plan. So it's funny. That's a great question, actually.
So I did a little research,
Yep.
And you were with ING and then Voya, and you have your Series 63 and Series 66. So you are a registered investment advisor.
Correct. Yeah. So if you're going to be an advisor in the 401k marketplace, there are some legal ramifications, legal things that you have to kind of be appointed with the SEC. And again, you're talking to people about their money. About their retirement savings. So I think when you're working with any of your advisors, just make sure that they're licensed and they're educated in specifics to 401k retirement plans and that type of marketplace. I find that helps out because it is, you are a fiduciary on the plan. So you are working with the plan, you're working with participants, and you have to make sure that the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed.
Okay, so an important distinction with ConnectPay, we don't sell ancillary services like workers' comp or health insurance, or in your case, retirement. So we work with our clients to work with their advisors and to create an ecosystem. And specifically, we work with small companies. So what are the issues that small businesses have with retirement savings?
Yeah, so I think what you just said, what ConnectPay does, and how that you guys are specialists in the payroll.
Right.
And then what happens is we bring in other specialists, for benefits or whatever else it is, workman's comp. Our specialty just happens to be retirement plans. I think what's so unique about that, as opposed to some of the other payroll companies, is each company is unique and different, and you can design some of these plans to be unique and different for them. So I guess, an important thing is, what are you trying to do? Everybody knows 401k, but there's a lot of other different types of retirement plans out there that are available to small businesses. So I guess, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to get the most money for the business owners? Are you trying to attract talent? Are you trying to keep talent? Are you trying to make sure that there's a vesting schedule to reward people that have been with you for a long period of time? These 401ks out of the box are just that. They don't allow you to tailor-make some of those things. So that's why you do want to deal with different types of professionals that are helping out individuals within the 401k and the business owners.
Right, and one of the key drivers is also the tax savings, right? This is a key part of why a business owner would do this.
Sure, definitely there's tax savings with it. What we have found is business owners are pretty good guys. Business owners are nice people, and that they want to help out their employees that are part of their business. So the employees also have tax savings with this. The employees also have tax deferred growth. The employees also have, opportunities to make sure that they're going to have a successful retirement. So we find that that's not the main reason employers are putting in 401k plans. They're putting them in a lot of times because they, like and value and trust their employees, and they want to reward them. Now, the tax savings that they get helps out, and they also, can be rewarded with some of those. But we find that small business owners are doing that for those reasons.
So it's to attract and retain good talent, to take care of the people that work hard for them.
Correct.
And blend it in there as tax savings.
Yeah, at the end of the day, they're saving some money also.
Okay. So, of course, you said everyone knows the 401k plan. When I met with owners, when I was out selling, 5-7 years ago, I often saw them miss a simple IRA, even though they weren't putting much in.
Yeah, so to answer your question, I'll kind of go back a little bit because I think I know where you're going here.
Okay.
So for small businesses, there's a lot of different opportunities that they can save money and that they can reward their employees. The first, I guess, as you kind of go along the path, is there is something called a simple IRA. So what's that? It's simple. It's a simple IRA that employees can put money away into the plan. The employer does have some matching that they have to kind of go forward with, so they're going to reward their employees and give them, each one works a little bit different, but let's just say 3%, they're going to do a 3% match for their employees. Their employees are putting money away. You've got a record keeper. We'll say we're in New England right now, so I'll say Fidelity, which is headquartered out of here, that happens to be the record keeper on this. And they're going to, put the money in. Each person can choose their own investments, and they have that simple IRA. As the companies grow, you might want to kind of change your retirement plan strategy and go towards a regular, traditional 401k. So traditional 401k allows participants to put in more money. It allows you to do the match as well. It allows the business owner to put in more money inside the plan. And that's kind of the tradition that people know. On top of those 401k plans, you can put in profit sharing. So these are some of the ways that we're talking about where you can work with a local third-party administrator, and I'll get into that in a second, and the record keepers, and of course the most important piece, the payroll company, to get the money to put inside, and you can reward, the business owners can put more money into the plan. There's a variety of different things that you can do.
Okay, so to recap, so the simple IRA is the most basic.
Correct.
Right? It allows up to $6,000 per employee.
Actually, more than that, but that's, yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay, so it went up this year?
Drew, you've been working a long time. It's going up substantially on this. It's, they can put in a participant can put in $14,000, and then there's some catch-up contributions of, if you're over 50 years old, that you can put in additional money of $3,000 inside the plan.
Great. So someone over 50 can get up to $14,000.
17,000.
17,000.
17,000
wow.
plus.
It
then
has gone up.
Yeah. Then there's some
When did
contributions.
that happen?
What's that? You go back into the 1980s, I think. No, it's been going up for a while. These things. So that's and that's why it's also important to make sure that you're working with a good payroll company for one thing, because you don't want to go over the amounts at those things, and you want to make sure that the payroll company is well versed and knows about this. And educates the participants on that. As these things do go up, you can put in more money. And I can't tell you how many times I see, some of the other payroll companies that a lot of people know their names, that they don't do that. They don't increase the things for the participants. So the participants are losing out on some potential savings.
Right. So on our platform, that's set into the system every year. There's a whole compliance team that builds those, right? And you've got different levels for the simple versus the 401k, and then you've got catch up for individuals who are over 50.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Okay. So there's something between the simple and the 401k?
There's SEPP plans, so self-employed pension plans that business owners can put in substantial amounts of money in this. I guess with all these retirement plans that are out there, if I can just kind of go back and just kind of talk about how they come about.
Right.
So how did these retirement plans come about? If some people remember, back in the 80s, 70s, 80s, there were things called pension plans. So the pension plans were things that the employers put into the account that would make sure that their participants had money that they could, or their employees could have money at retirement. Those started getting swept away, and they started putting more of the responsibilities on the participants. So the participants could choose where they wanted to invest their money. They had more options that they wanted to invest their money in these things.
So that was defined benefit plans turned into defined contribution plans.
Yeah, okay. Exactly. So that's what's kind of going on with the marketplace, and it's just continued to grow from there. And again, as a business owner, what's really your responsibilities in these plans? Because if you're going to offer a plan to your participants, there's really three different parts of that stool that kind of go with. You have a third-party administrator, so those are the compliance people.
Right.
So they're making sure that you're doing everything correct that the government's telling you to do. There's testing that kind of goes inside these 401k plans. The simple one, not so much.
Right.
It's simple, but you kind of move your way around. There are tests that kind of go on that you have to make sure. And then each year there's something called a 5500 form for the retirement forms that, for the retirement plans that have to be set up, signed, sent to the government to make sure you're doing everything correctly. So that third-party compliance piece is really important.
Okay.
So the next piece that you have is the record keeper. So Drew, I'm taking money from you, from ConnectPay. It's going in, and you're deciding where the money is going to go, where the investments are. That's the record keeper piece of it.
So to give you an example, the big names that we know, the Vanguards, the Fidelities, right, the Voya.
Correct.
Those are all John Hancock. They're
Yep,
all big.
tons of them. Yeah,
tons of record keepers.
Getting smaller ones, but they're all getting consolidated.
Okay, so they're the record keeper.
They're the record keeper.
Okay.
And they're making sure that each individual person's money is adjudicated properly.
Okay.
Inside that plan. And then, because selfishly, this is where I'm going to talk about, the advisor is a big piece.
Right.
Now, the traditional advisor that's doing wealth advisory and stuff, that has kind of changed to what you really want is almost a 401k consultant. Some wealth advisors have that part of the thing, but you're making sure that, the fiduciary process in place is all taken care of, and I'll talk about that in a second, but also that your employees are being educated. That's an important component of all this, is if you're offering this great benefit for your employees, making sure that they're using it correctly. Another piece of that is making sure that you've got a process in place, because you are picking mutual funds and investments, that is picking the funds. So how are you picking the funds? What's the process you have in place to pick the funds? And there's all sorts of crazy things, 321, 338, I can talk about all those different types of options that you have. But those are all fiduciary processes in place that ultimately you as the employer has to make sure is working right. So the first and most important thing as an employer is that you're offering this thing, you're taking money. So you're working with ConnectPay, you're making sure that that money is being taken out and it's getting to where it needs to go, within a timely manner.
Right.
So what we've seen with, some small businesses is they might be taking the money and they're holding on to it for 2, 3, 4 weeks, before they're moving it on to the record keeper and it's getting adjudicated properly. That, as a fiduciary on the plan or somebody that's sponsoring it, is something that we help make sure it kind of goes, we streamline that process. And we work with ConnectPay or, whoever it is actually you are doing payroll with to make sure that's going properly. But that's a big piece of it.
So that's ERISA, right?
That's ERISA.
ERISA defines all those rules.
Correct.
And you work as the investment advisor with the third-party administrator to make sure that everything's moving correctly from payroll to the record keeper.
Correct.
And then the TPA is the one who's completing the 5,500 at the year end. They're doing all the testing for top heavy or whatever the plan documents say. And together, that team of 3
It's exactly it. Yeah,
make sure that things go
Drew,
well.
I might hire you. By the way, you explained that even better than I did. So I'm going to hire you. You're going to be part of my part of our team.
Well, because we don't sell these plans, we've had to coach clients on what we see as the favorable outcomes. Because, we would get a call from a CPA that someone didn't file a 5,500, and would we go talk to them? Right, and then we'd go talk to them about payroll and bring in someone like yourself to help untangle the mess.
Right.
Right, because they had a out-of-the-box 401k plan. The owner maxed out, back then it was 18,000.
Right.
But it was top-heavy because no one was contributing. And a great advisor would go in and demonstrate that by putting in a safe harbor with a match, that they would actually save money and the owner wouldn't have this problem. And everyone wins.
Exactly. That's as a 401k consultant, making sure everybody wins and all the pieces are talking to each other is really that's our goal, that's our role, and then ultimately everybody has a successful retirement.
Right. And then we didn't talk about the plan sponsor, right? But that's that responsibility. You're signing the document saying, I'm responsible for this as the business owner, and that's a big responsibility.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it is, and it's also It's awesome. It's awesome when you see smaller clients get to the place where they can offer retirement plans for their employees. I mean, they're so proud, they're so happy, they're so excited about it. And for themselves, I mean, that's a piece of it, but also for their employees.
Yeah.
And then you should be, just to make sure that all goes well, you should make sure that your employees appreciate it. And making sure that your employees appreciate it is having them to have access to, everything's done electronically now, but making
Right.
sure that they have that, making sure that they understand it, making sure that they have somebody that they can talk to about their investments. You know, a lot of times people aren't staying at companies from year to year, you know, so making sure that if they have rollovers with other companies and things like that, that there's a way that that can be all brought in together. And help out the employees, help out the employer when you start doing those things, but really making sure that they're educated on this. And then you even see employers taking it one step further. That as they're talking to their employees, and let's just say they're making $50,000 a year and the employer is giving them, you know, an additional $5,000 a year in their, you know, retirement benefit and benefits, you know, they're really salary, you know, it's really, you know, they're making $60,000, $70,000 a year. And unless you tell employees about that, a lot of times they don't understand it. And if they value it and they reward it, they're not going to go look for another job someplace, or, you know, they're going to stay with you because you've kind of helped them out with some of these things. So that's what really, as you can tell, I'm passionate about it.
Yeah,
because that's I see the end result of it.
Yeah, but you just defined my exact journey, right? So in 2001, I bought this little sign company in Brookline, and 2 years later, we were able to offer Blue Cross Blue Shield to the 20 people.
Yeah.
And the year after that, we were able to roll out our first retirement savings plan, right? So a business owner goes through those steps, and it really helped with retention, and it really professionalized the business.
Right, and it does, if you're offering this type of thing and you're a smaller business, it kind of validates you.
It does.
Also, so
It
I mean,
does.
so when, you know, employees are smart. And as you're looking at them, they're also looking at other opportunities.
Right.
So this really, you know, do you offer a retirement plan? Yes. You know, I mean, we do offer a retirement plan. Who's it with? It's with X. You know, that's a good part of it, is somebody's going to, you know, come out here and educate you on your options. You know, and they're looking at maybe a potential other company that's not offering it. That could be the coin flip on some of these things.
Okay, so to recap, a small business should consider a simple IRA in some cases.
That's the start.
Right.
Businesses over 100 don't have that opportunity.
Okay.
So it's businesses are under 100.
And someone who's a very small business, a SEPP IRA may be very beneficial.
They might be able to put in the maximum amount of money for the smaller business, or even if you're a sole proprietor, you know, there's something called a solo 401k, which
Right.
you know, not participants, but owners might be able to get, you know, upwards of $50,000-$60,000 inside a retirement plan.
Okay. So can you talk quickly about Roth versus traditional?
Oh yeah, great question. So, you know, probably over the last 10 years or so, what's happened is everybody knows there's a 401k. So traditional, the 401k is you take money out of your payroll and it goes into this box. So the box is your retirement box. The money is going to grow tax deferred. At age 59 and a half, you're allowed to take money out of the box. And because you paid taxes on up front, you got the tax break up front. You know, so if you put in $1,000, it only cost you $700. You know, you pay taxes on the back end. So that was the old traditional 401k. Roth came out, so we had Roth IRAs. And now you can put in the Roth 401k piece of it, you know, inside the plan. So how does that work? So somebody puts their $1,000 inside. That comes from paychecks, or it comes from their paycheck, you know, goes into, you know, the box. They don't get that tax deduction up front. So it feels like $1,000 coming out of your pocket. Goes into the box does the investments, grows tax-free. What's the reward on it? On the back end, they don't pay any tax. They've already paid it. They paid it up front. So they don't pay any tax on the initial money going in or the growth, and so you have it down that way. So the big question is, which is better?
Right.
So, and what I'm going to tell you is, I've got no clue what's going to happen with tax rates and everything when, you know, all the employees are 65 years old. So I think dealing with a consultant, dealing with somebody that's going to educate your employees, dealing with not treating everybody as the same, each individual can make their own individual decisions on that. I think what's really important and why it's good to work with Connect Pay on this is it doesn't have to be an all or nothing type of thing. You can say, I want 5% of my money going to, you know, traditional, 5% of my money going to Roth, you know, and I think that's really important from the payroll perspective to get that correct and right.
Sure.
On those things.
Sure.
And you can always change it. You know, the parts about retirement plans is they are flexible. in some ways, that you can change your payroll deductions, you can change what you want to do. Maybe I'm going to do Roth when I'm young, but I'm going to do traditional when I'm older. There's a whole bunch of variety of different ways that you can kind of move these things around.
Well, and there's an estate planning side to it as well, right? Because the Roth doesn't have the minimum required distribution at 70 and a half.
Correct.
Right, so you can have a bucket of funds that isn't forced to be taxable
Correct.
later in your retirement.
Correct.
Yeah.
And each individual person has different situations. So I'm 57 years old, but I've got kids in high school. So some of the reasons I want some Roth money is to pay for college education. So I can do it that way on some of
Right.
those things. So I think that's why it's important to deal with the right consultant and your local consultants, that you have that can kind of look at these things for individuals. Each individual has their own situation. Not even each just business does, and then each individual. So I think that's important.
Terrific. Well, is there anything else? Is there anything important that we missed here?
Well, so that TPA piece of it, so we did talk about how to set the thing up simple, how to set the thing up for the 401k, how to make sure that you have the profit sharing piece of it. What are some of these tests that we talked about? So these tests are why you definitely want to work with the TPA, maybe a local TPA, not some of the stuff out of the box, because there are some requirements that you have as a business owner. The big one that kind of takes place is there's a discrimination test. So you have highly compensated employees and then non-highly compensated employees. The highly compensated can only put in a certain amount of money based upon what the non-highly compensated put in. So it's always good to educate all your employees on the things to kind of make sure. You can get rid of those tests if you make your plan what's called safe harbor. So that means you're giving a certain amount of money to each of the plan, to each participant as a match. So I think dealing with the right consultant, dealing with the right TPA, the right record keeper, the right payroll provider on these things, make sure you know what you're getting up front. We take a lot of time, making sure that all the pieces are moving right up front, as opposed to some other, I'll say some other record or some other payroll providers will come up and say, oh yeah, we offer that. And you're signing these things. I've had to unwire. A lot of people don't know what they're signing or don't know what the responsibilities are when you're dealing with that. It's real important to make sure you know what you have up front, because there are some legal ramifications that you have outside there.
So meeting with someone like yourself allows a business to look at the amount of employees they have, what the contributions will likely be, decide between a simple, a SEPP, or a 401k, and then get deeper into those traditional versus Roth, perhaps a safe harbor. Are there any other components that are good practices as far as increasing the contribution as people have tenure, et cetera?
Yeah, there's all those. All those things are specialized.
Okay.
There's making sure that you're passing those tests, or if you don't pass those tests, is big.
Right.
But what I see more companies go to, and this is actually, I'm going to dovetail just for a second, but this is important.
Yeah.
The states are now coming out and having mandatory retirement plans. So smaller businesses are going to have to offer mandatory retirement plans. That is where the marketplace is going to.
Yep.
So you have to be kind of aware of what's going on and what state you're in and where you have employees and so forth on that. And there's going to be these things called automatic enrollment. So automatic enrollment's becoming part of it, where your employees are automatically enrolled in the plan unless they opt out of the plan. So let's just talk about that. I start with a company. It's telling me I'm going to have to put in 6% of my money inside of that plan. So if you're telling an employee that you have to do that, you have to offer them something to educate them on that.
Right.
Or you have to offer funds that's automatically going to work out for them. It's called the QDIA, of the types of funds that are going to go in. So it might be a target date fund or age-based appropriate fund on those things. So you're going to see automatic enrollment coming down in some states that you have to do it and employees are going to have to opt out.
Okay.
If you're doing that, you have to give them an avenue to educate the employees on that. Or if not, how do you protect them from making bad decisions in terms of their investments? And
some of these state-sponsored plans are very much like Simple Iris?
Yeah, or 401ks, or each state is kind of they're going to be a little bit different. This is all new things coming out. This is why it's good to work with the consultants and the proper payroll people. So as these things start rolling out, they can be handled, and you know what's kind of going on inside the plan.
Okay, and then we've heard of these MEPs, or multiple employer plans.
Correct.
What's significant there?
Yeah, so this is kind of cool, and I think for small businesses, it's going to help them out a lot. So what's going to happen to multiple employer plans? So you're tied in with a whole bunch of other companies inside of this. So what does that give you? You don't have to worry about the funds, because the funds are all picked, and if something changes, it's automatically swept. A bad fund swept out, a new one is swept in. That kind of meets that criteria of it. There might be 28 different funds. So you as an employer, you don't have to worry about, because the funds are taken care of, and you're covered as a fiduciary on site for that. There's also, because of this, some of the expenses are going to be brought down for some of these companies that are part of this multiple plans. So, and then the biggest part, and we really haven't gone into this, but this is for bigger companies, is if you have over 100 participants, you have to do an audit every single year on your plan. So, what's an audit? Nobody wants to do an audit. It's going to cost you, a certain amount of money to have an accounting firm come in.
Right.
Make sure you're doing the payroll right. Make sure you've got a process in place. With these MEPs, or these multiple employer plans, the audit is already taken place.
Right.
So that's already kind of taken place on this thing. So you don't have to do it. So it's not an added burden to your administrative staff, and it's not an added burden or cost to you as an employer.
And how would someone find out about their a MEP and its availability for them?
Through a consultant, through a consultant. As I said, everything's evolving. The MEPs are kind of just starting to come out. So when you're working with the right consultants and the right payroll companies and the right, third-party administrators, you as an employer, you're going to learn about them. It's just making sure that you get inside the right ones, and that they're working for you. And again, part of our roles as consultants, it always comes down to cost. Making sure that these are cost-effective from you, not just as a what's it cost to run the 401k, what's it cost for the funds inside of it, but what is the cost to the company in terms of matches and everything like that. But as you mentioned earlier, these are tax deductions, and the owners of the company can get significant benefits from offering these to their participants.
That's terrific. Is there anything else I missed here today?
Well, I think we covered a lot of it. I mean, it's good. I guess if I was just to kind of follow up on everything, is just make sure you're dealing with professionals. The professionals, and I meant it wholeheartedly when employers like offering these things. When you can offer them, that makes you feel great. I mean, and I will say that employees, if they appreciate them, if they know about them and they're using them correctly.
Yes. And getting the good help sets one up that's bound for success.
Yeah, that's it.
All right.
That's it.
Well, to recap, again, we don't sell any of these investments. We work with hundreds of advisors. If someone wanted to get in touch, how would they reach you?
Yeah, so it's LinkedIn or whatever you have to do, but it's Thomas.Roach, ROACH, at CeteraWealth.com, and I'm sure somebody they'll find me, but I'll make sure that people here at ConnectPay know all about me if that's
sure.
possible.
And our sales reps know many individuals who also and so there's flexibility. There's nothing required here.
Oh yeah, no. That's if you have a good person that you're dealing with, deal with that person. That's
right.
what I'm saying. Because make sure that you're dealing with your trusted advisors in any type of space. We're always here. We're here as a secondary resource if that's what you want. But make sure that you're dealing with somebody that's gonna treat your employees well.
Right. And at that triangle is that record keeper, the TPA, the investment advisor.
Correct.
And a payroll company that can make the deductions correctly.
Correct.
And terrific.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you.
Hey, I appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks for the opportunity.